Embrace the yes and. Say yes to opportunities and possibilities that come before you, and be willing to drop the plan. Be willing to just burn the plan, tear it up, throw it in a bonfire, and roll with what life is giving you. It is, I promise you, what life can create when you say yes and is so much richer than anything you can plan.
Welcome to this week's As Unexpected podcast, when we talk to C-suite executives, entrepreneurs, and philanthropists about how they lead into the future when the future generally goes as unexpected. I'm Scott Marshall, your host, and my own professional experience has made me a believer that it's not how you show up when all goes as planned, but it is how you show up when things go as unplanned. Given all of their experiences, each of our guests has become very attuned to the fact that the future is not to be predicted. My hope is that this podcast can help all of you become better leaders by building the core leadership capabilities for leading in an uncertain world. Hey, welcome to another episode of As Unexpected. I'm Scott Marshall, and today it will be fun. I guarantee it's going to be fun because we have the Chief Play Officer with us today, which is the first time I've met a Chief Play Officer, and I'm pretty convinced that title should exist in pretty much any organization. But in the absence of that, we have Paige. Paige, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. I am the first Chief Play Officer that I know as well. And I agree. I think this should be in every single organization, community, group of people. I think play should be a focus of communities.
Well, tell us, please, how did you come to this title, this organization? Give us a little bit of bio.
Yeah. So I like to say my mission on this planet is to remind adults how to play. If we've ever, all of us have experiences with kids, whether they're our own kids, our nieces or nephews, young cousins, and they are so good at playing. They're so good at exploring worlds and inventing things and yes-anding each other, which is a key principle of improv comedy. And as we get older, we sort of lose that sense of wonder and that sense of a imagination and creativity and curiosity. So it's my mission to bring that back for adults and remind them how to play. And as you can see behind me, if you're watching, I have a lot of play around me. I'm always looking for new ways to expand play. I wrote a one-woman show called Breakup Addict, where I basically turned what was a very dark period of my life into a play, into an actual theatrical show, and told the stories about my breakups and my relationship journey as a way of, for myself, alchemizing some of the pain and the questions that I had around my own responsibility in some of my relationships, but then also being able to share my takeaways and what I've learned with other people so that it would help them hopefully go on their own exploration journey. So I did that through play, and it was such an amazing journey for me to transform my pain into play. And now I do that in organizations. I help them. I bring in my background in performance and improv comedy, and I support people and cultures to tap into the power of play so that they can become better communicators, so they can feel more connected to each other, so that they can enhance their trust and creativity in the workplace.
I love it. Can you go a little bit further and say some of the origins of this were where, how? Like, how did you sort of get into improv? How did you get into it's the play part, because now you're fully in it, but there's got to be some sparks, some areas where this really came from.
Yeah, absolutely. I started, my first company was in New York City, and it was a video marketing company that I kind of, for speaking about being unexpected, building something in an unexpected way, I accidentally built this marketing company, this video marketing company. I was working as an actor and needed some extra income. And so I started making videos for small businesses. And that business started taking off. And I really put a lot more of my energy into that business because it was fueling me. It was really exciting. It was creative. And I noticed how, to toot my own horn here, how good I was at building business, having never taken a business class, never gone to business school. I was like, how am I so good at this? And I started drawing these connections between my improv classes, my acting classes, and the skills that it takes to build a business in terms of being able to be flexible when you're on a call with a client and they have an objection that comes up, or when you're pitching yourself in front of a group of your peers and you have to stand up and tell a story about what you do and how you transform people. This is all improv and it's all acting. So as I was drawing these conclusions or drawing these associations, I was like, I wonder if any of my entrepreneur friends would be interested in learning about improv. So I asked a few of them. They're like, yeah, definitely. So I just rented out kind of a small studio in New York City and invited a couple of my entrepreneur friends, got some photos for marketing, and ran a workshop, my very first Improv for Entrepreneurs workshop. And it kind of took off from there. I started working with, I worked with Morgan Stanley for a little while, did some stuff at Columbia University. I spoke there. So it started taking off in terms of, this was like, I really saw this as a gap in the market of drawing this, bridging this gap between improv and business. And that's what how I got into it around the back.
Yeah, that's excellent. I love the statement, I accidentally built a business.
Yeah. I sure did. And I did it through yes and. That's one of my favorite principles. It's one of the key things that I live by, is by saying yes to what life offers me. And then, and is, how can I build on this? How can I bring my own expertise, uniqueness, creativity into this? And in any improv scene, this is what makes an improv scene function, is the ability to say yes to the base reality. So for example, if I step on stage and I say, hey, doc, I've got an ache in my shoulder. You could say, I'm not a doctor, I'm a firefighter, right? But you would be denying, that's like the no, right? That's denying the base reality. Instead, you could say, not again. What do you keep doing with your, you keep throwing out your shoulder. You're playing baseball again, right? And then I know, okay, I'm playing baseball. And we build on that base reality and create something that you could never create on your own. It's only available when two people come together and say yes and that's really what I did with building my business. I said yes to, a new client would come in and be like, hey, would you want to do a video for me? Or would, an example is I had a client I did a video for, and he's like, I actually would love a YouTube channel. Do you know how to build YouTube channels? And I was like, yes. Even though maybe I didn't know, but I learned, right? And I said, yes. And I built his whole YouTube channel, and I got to be in the videos, and I got to script them. And so that's kind of when I say I accidentally built my business, that's what I mean.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So you've now have your own company, Yes & Co. You are probably got clients, not just where you're sitting now in San Diego, probably many clients. You've accidentally built a business in New York. And this podcast is about as unexpected, when things just don't go as you thought they were, which clearly the answer is when it doesn't go as expected, you say yes and. However, I would love for you to share with the group some examples of how things went as unexpected and the challenges that present. Because sometimes you got to say yes, but it's not always easy, right?
Correct.
It's always easy for you, but I'm saying not for everybody.
Well, things come up, right? It is. It can be scary. It can be really scary to say yes because you don't know what is coming next, right? In an improv scene, when I set up the base reality and I determine you're the doctor, you could say anything. I might have a whole plan in my head of how this scene is going to go, right? And this doctor and I have a long relationship and I've been coming to him for a while. He's actually my pediatrician from way back when, and now I'm an adult. I'm like, right? That'd be funny. But if that base reality didn't actually culminate or manifest and something else did, I have to be able to adjust and adapt and say, okay, I'm going to throw out the plan that I thought was funny and interesting, and I'm going to go with what is really happening right now. And that is deeply scary.
Yeah.
and deeply vulnerable because you are exposed, right? Like me stepping in and saying, yes, I'll take this project, even though I don't really know how to build a YouTube channel, is a challenge. It's a risk. It's me putting my reputation on the line. They may not like it. They may want to go with somebody else. They may see like, she doesn't know what she's doing. So yes, there is a lot of risk involved when you're saying yes. And just like entrepreneurship, there's also so much reward.
Yeah.
When you take those big risks, you get big rewards. And in an improv scene, you take a big risk and you get big laughs. And you get really present and connected with that person in that reality and create something really magical.
Now, in the world today, Paige, where, for example, our organization is hybrid remote, following the pandemic, we made the decision that we're going to move to that model. And I would guess, I don't know this, so it's really just a hypothesis, that when you're in person, you get deeper connected, you know people better, you get a sense of the whole person. And yes, and maybe easier when it's distilled down to Slack messages and emails and, bounded video calls, perhaps yes, and can be more challenging. What are you seeing in the world today with that?
It's absolutely more challenging. I am a huge proponent of video on. Like, no matter how messy you may feel or how just not camera ready you are, I think it is so much better to show up messy than it is to hide and not show up at all. So I do in-person workshops, I do hybrid workshops, I do remote workshops, and yes, there is absolutely an element, like a little more disconnection that comes with a hybrid or remote workplace. And there is so much that can be created and so much connection that can be made. We dread these Zoom calls now. I don't know about you, but I got Zoom fatigue after like a year and a half of just doing everything on Zoom, right?
100%.
Yeah. And so wouldn't it be amazing if instead of like today's meeting or for the first half of today's meeting, we're actually going to play. Cameras on, we're going to do some play. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do some games and you're going to laugh a lot. And there's nothing else to show up for, right? It mixes it up. And actually, it's neurologically, it's really powerful for just like creating new neural pathways. So you can have more creativity in your Zoom calls and people are more excited to show up. So there's a lot of value in bringing play into these remote workplaces. And yes, it's just different. It's a different kind of environment for sure.
This episode of As Unexpected is sponsored in part by Semester at Sea, a study abroad program for college students and adults on career breaks, sabbaticals, or retired, interested in learning and exploring the world together. Learn more about the Lifelong Learner program at www.semesteratSea.org. Yeah, it's great that you're able to deliver your expertise in multiple different formats. That's brilliant on your part to be creative and find ways to deliver it. We certainly use all the tools. We have 2 in-staff meetings per year where we're all together trying to find ways to make this work as effectively as possible. What the benefit is, we'd be able to hire the best people wherever they live rather than sort of make sure they're within Fort Collins, Colorado. So there's a big win there, but it does take much longer to get to know someone. And so perhaps getting a sense of their playfulness would take longer to know, their sense of humor, their willingness to engage. Yes. So I've heard people say this, and I don't know the field well enough, but they say that some people even grow up with less play in their life, and so it's harder for them. And some had play in their life, but have given it up as adults. And then there's this maybe smaller minority of adults who still have that in them. Have you seen these varieties in your workshops where there really is this whole very multiplicity of different playfulness? Is that's not even a word, but sense of play.
For sure. And you know what? We can make it a word. We can make anything a word.
Playfulness or something like that.
It is interesting to see the careers that certain people choose to go into, or certain types of people choose to go into. So if I'm doing a workshop for a sales team, for example, loud, outgoing, ready for it. Like, who wants to volunteer? Me, everybody's into it. Right. And this is very, I'm generalizing here. But then I'll go and do that same workshop for an accounting team. And they're a little more reserved, a little quieter, maybe not as, jumping right into it. So it's really, for me, I pride myself on being able to adapt to what team I'm working with and the kinds of people and how open they are to this. Some teams take a little more warming up. And some are warm and ready to go. So it's really, it depends. It depends. And I've never seen somebody who is who can't play. If you think, if you're no, I just, that's so far away for me. I never even got to experience play in my childhood. So I don't even know what that would look like. There's lots of people who have experienced my workshops and have come out lighter. You're just in a whole different energy. And we all have the ability to play. It's actually very innate in animals. You'll see play in animals, even if you have dogs, right? Or pets. Of course, yeah. They love to play, and it's so natural, right? And just like that, it's natural for us. It's just a matter of dropping some of the masks and creating a safe space where people can do that.
Yeah, interesting and sad. Jane Goodall passed away at age 91, who was the one who really found the humanity, if you will. I'm not sure, in chimpanzees, and part of that was their innate play.
Yes.
Yeah, and to think that we didn't really see it before is stunning, because of course dogs as around humans for centuries and always playing, right? So yes.
Yeah.
I don't mean to bring up the sad news of Jane Goodall, but she's such a legend in understanding animals.
Play. I love her, and I think there's something. The science of play has really been studied, especially in animals, and why, it's their main goal is really survival. So how does play, it kind of seems like a nice to have for us, right? But for them, it's a must to have. Like they actually do need to play. And a lot of the science points to it helps them explore what is safe. It helps them find their safety and learn about their world, learn about who is friend, who is foe. What is poison? What food can I eat? What food can I not eat? What do I avoid? Where do I go? So play is a way to bring curiosity and to really explore the safety. Like what are the safe boundaries of my world?
Yeah. Without the consequences of high risk. And my sense is that's true with humans as well. Is play is that sense of how do we work together without the consequence of risk. So when there is risk, we've already figured out how to work together and be caring for each other. And we know in the end, when we work together, the outcomes are always better. But that's brilliant. And this actually is a great transition point because I really sense from you that there's a natural connection between play and curiosity. And gosh, curiosity is so important in the world. Always has been, deeply important today. So for you, I've chosen a book by Brian Glazer, a Hollywood icon. It's called A Curious Mind, The Secret to a Bigger Life. And then here's a quote that I'd love to read to you and get your reaction to.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, here's how it goes. Human connection requires sincerity. It requires compassion. It requires trust. Can you really have sincerity or compassion or trust without curiosity?
Wow. I mean, I don't think you can have much of anything without curiosity. I mean, you can have a lot of conflict. You can have a lot of resistance. You can have a lot of fights without curiosity, a lot of disconnection. But in a world where you want to come together and create community and cooperate, curiosity is really the only avenue for that. Because it is such an open door to possibility. I used to have a teacher that would ask the question. She was like, in any kind of conflict, she says, do you want to be right or do you want to be connected? And it's like to choose between the two, right? You can try to be right and die on that hill and defend yourself to the high heavens, or you can be curious and say, how can we get connected here? What's going on? What's going on? Let me in. How are you feeling? I'm curious about that. And just to keep diving in. And again, coming back to this idea of vulnerability and riskiness, that is a risk, right? To lean into curiosity with somebody, not knowing where it's going to go. But I think it is the ultimate modality for connection is curiosity.
Love it. Makes me think of my own neighborhood where it's been evident over the last year that there's a variety of political viewpoints, let's just say that, within a few blocks of where we live. And that's all good. I think in our country, people should be able to express their political views and live into them as they see fit. And are we curious enough to support that person, understand that person, so that we have a strong neighborhood community?
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's enough of that in the world today where we embrace that diversity, that difference, and be curious about it. Not try to convince. They're not going to convince me, so why should I try to convince someone else? But are we curious?
Right. Prioritize curiosity over righteousness, I think is the key to bringing people together. And you're right. I don't think we do that enough. And we live in a world, in a democracy where we're able to, we have the freedom to speak out and be curious and ask questions. And I think that's such a beautiful right that we live with. And so can we we leverage it? Can we use it more in the with the intention of coming closer together?
Yeah. Can we connect it back to play? So in what way does curiosity play a role in play?
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, the way that I talked about it with like animals, right? It's just about getting curious about your environment, the person that you're with. It can be a very playful experience, and you can bring curiosity into, I think bringing curiosity into your life can create space for more play. So if you're feeling like sad or depressed or stuck, and you're like, I'm just, I'm overworking and I'm like, nothing's working for me. Getting curious with yourself and saying, what do I need more of?
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, I want to paint. I just want to like go paint, or I want to go run around or roller skate, or, whatever it is, and creating the space to be able to allow yourself to do that. So, meeting yourself with curiosity is also a really key piece here.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Curiosity forces you to be outside of yourself, and if you, to what you do all the time, can you do it through a lens of being playful without consequence? The only consequence is you will smile, maybe laugh, and have a little dopamine and
feel a little better,
feel a little joy because you've opened up to that opportunity. I love it.
Yeah.
So we're approaching time here, Paige. If you could leave our audience and me with that one piece of advice, whether it's someone who's early in their career, late in their career, or regardless of career, what would that one piece of advice be?
I mean, I gotta come back to the yes and. Embrace the yes and. Say yes to opportunities and possibilities that come before you, and be willing to drop the plan. Be willing to just burn the plan, tear it up, throw it in a bonfire, and roll with what life is giving you. It is, I promise you, what life can create when you say yes and is so much richer than anything you can plan.
I think we've figured out a title for this podcast. It's Be Willing to Burn the Plan.
Burn the plan. Burn the plan.
Yeah, I love it. Damn, exclamation point. That's
yes, bring the fire.
Paige, it's been awesome to talk with you today. Thanks for taking the time. Hopefully we'll meet in person sometime.
I would love that.
San Diego. Everybody look up Paige. She's doing awesome work the world needs.
Yeah, thank you so much, Scott. It was very fun, as promised.
Indeed. Thank you. This episode of As Unexpected is sponsored in part by Semester at Sea, a study abroad program where students visit 10 countries on 3 continents, all while taking 3 to 4 college classes through Colorado State University. See course offerings and upcoming voyage itineraries at www.semesteratsea.org. Thank you for joining this week's episode of the As Unexpected podcast. The viewpoints and opinions of featured guests do not necessarily represent those of the Institute for Shipboard Education or Semester at Sea. Hit the like button, share it with your colleagues, family, and friends, and remember, be curious, be compassionate, be courageous. That's what it takes to lead as unexpected.